Chestnut, and I am going to demo one of our U-Cook kits. This one is stuffed chicken breast. In this case, they're stuffed with prosciutto and smoked Gouda, and it all will come in this nice little bag, and it's going to have all your ingredients ready to go. We do go under the assumption that you have some things in your house, so we're going to not throw the butter in this one. So this has everything you need right in this little package: rice, the stock, the chicken breast, etc., etc. Basically, we're going to make rice pilaf, which is not the easiest thing in the world, so I'm just going to go over it with you. We provide you with the stock for the rice pilaf, and it's pre-measured, and this is set up for 2 people. So you can see I'm taking the lid off this guy, trying not to spill it all over myself, and then it goes right in here, and that has to come to a boil. In the meantime, I've melted about a tablespoon of butter, and we're going to saute the chopped onions in the butter. Okay? Low to medium heat. And what you want to do with the onions is you just want to have them be just what we call sweating them. So they're just going to start to release their flavor. Meanwhile, the stock is getting hot. Now, I will say that generally you would start with the stock ahead of time, and then you would do this part later. But we're just going to kind of speed things up here. And while we're waiting for this to happen, I'm going to talk to you about the rest of the dish. So, you want to preheat your oven to 350. Tell you why in a second, trust me. And then the rest of the items are the zucchini, which is the veg, which is pre-prepped, ready to go. Into the zucchini we're going to have tomato and basil. This is, it says herb mix and bay leaf. That's going to go into the rice once we fire it. So I'm going to put it over here by the rice, because if I don't, I'll forget. And then the stuffed chicken breasts, what we're going to do with those is we're just going to saute those in a pan. You can see that they're these really nice breasts with the wing bone on. We call these Airline breasts because they have the wing. That's the little joke. Cooks are very funny, by the way. So I'm just going to unwrap these and get those ready to go. So what you're going to do is you're going to start the rice, slide it in the oven, or you can finish it on the stovetop, and I'll talk about that in a second. But then you're going to sear these chicken breasts skin side down after you season them, and I'll talk about that. And then we're going to slide those in the oven for about 12 minutes. Right now, we've got our onions ready to go. We've got our rice. Coat the rice with the butter. Okay? And I'm going to turn this stove up a minute and get this nice and hot. While I'm doing that, I'm going to add the herb mix and the bay leaf. Don't eat the bay leaf. I know that sounds silly, but some people might not know that. So I'm going to throw the herbs in there too, and it's a nice herbaceous mixture that we make, and it's sort of what we call the ubiquitous herb mixture. It's got rosemary and sage and oregano and lavender and a little bit of parsley in there to stretch it. And you can hear, listen carefully, you'll be able to hear that that is getting sort of crackly. You don't have to cook the rice, but what you want to do is you want to make sure it's coated, and it's pretty darn hot. Because what we're going to do is we're going to take this stock, which is almost to the boil, and we're going to put it in there. And that should come quickly back to the boil. Now here's another thing that we're going to show you, and this is the point at which you want to season the rice. So you basically season it, and as I mentioned almost every time I cook in front of a camera, is I mention the idea of this salt and pepper mix, which is salt and white pepper. You want to make sure that that tastes good right now, because you don't want to mess with the rice later and season it after it's cooked, because it's just going to beat the heck out of it. Turn this little flame way down, turn this one off, and I set that on there. 15 minutes later, that's going to be done. Alright? So now, I'm going to take another pan, and I'm going to get that really hot. And this is another point at which we assume you have a few things in your kitchen. This is a pan spray. So what we're going to do is, for the chicken, we're just going to take a little bit of pan spray. We're going to get the pan nice and hot. Okay? And then we're going to come back over here, and what we're going to do is we're going to season these chicken breasts with the same seasoning that we use for the rice, the salt and pepper mix. And now I take it and I put it skin side down in the pan. And the pan doesn't have to be terribly hot when you put the chicken breast in it. It just should be warm. And then what's going to happen is you'll hear that start to sizzle. So once you get color, you can flip those guys over. Alright, and okay, let them sizzle a little bit. And then what we're going to do is we're going to slide them into the oven. It's at 350, and I would say a solid 10 to 12 minutes. Meanwhile, the rice is cooking. A lot of people like to get chicken in 160 so that they can feel secure. So that's fine, that's done. So what we'll do is we'll take that and we're going to slide it off to the side. The rice is just about done, so we're just going to let that be. And then what we're going to do is we're going to start the zucchini. We're assuming you have some oil. Use about a tablespoon of, in this case, extra virgin olive oil. What you want to do is just do a quick saute of this zucchini. I'm going to saute that. In the meantime, I'm going to check on the rice. And the best way to check on the rice is to look at it, pull the bay leaf out so you avoid some numbskull eating it, and then you just toss it with a fork. You don't want to stir this with a spoon because it'll crush the rice grains. And I'm going to let this cook about another minute. It's just a little moist, but it's really close. So I'm just going to slide it back on this nice low flame. Meanwhile, the zucchini's starting to saute. So the minute it starts to sizzle, you can add the tomato and the basil. And if you don't want to jump like I do, just stir it. Cooks like me, we make very big messes on our stoves, but we make good flavored food. So you can see how pretty this is going to be. It's got the basil, it's got the tomato, it's got the salt and pepper, and you really don't need to cook this very much. You could eat zucchini raw if you wanted to. In this case, I'm just going to cook it till it gets hot through so it has a nice bite and it looks still very green. You can see the contrast. So you're pretty much done right now. You've got 2 chickens, you've got enough rice for 2 people, you certainly have enough zucchini for 2 people, maybe a little left over. Let's call this bonus zucchini. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of slide over here and start plating things if we can. So the last thing is the tomato aioli, and that's right here. And so you can see this is kind of a Mediterranean approach to things with the prosciutto and the chicken breast and the tomato aioli and the herb rice pilaf. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set this down here. I'm just going to swish it around. So I'm going to take a little bit of the rice and I'm going to work from top to bottom. So the rice, if you look at this like a clock, the rice is right around 10 o'clock as you look at it. The sauce is at 6 o'clock. This zucchini is just ready to roll right now. You can see how pretty it is. And we cut the seeds out of it, which is the part that is kind of mushy about zucchini. And so there's that right on top like so. And that's it. This is the stuffed chicken breast with herb rice pilaf and zucchini, basil, and tomatoes.